Look at me. I'm a mess. I'm a mess today. I'm trying to get on the show. I'm trying to get this thing going. And then I'm scrolling, doing my last check on 49ers YouTube or on the 40. Are we good? I think we're back. So I was watching the 49ers IG before I hopped on, and they post the clip of Trey Lance hitting George Kittle. So I had to get that out. I'm sorry. I'm behind. I'm all over the place. My mic was muted. It's just I'm not live on Instagram yet. I'm trying to get everything squared away, trying to get everything posted. So bear with me. We're about to go live right now. We get this thing popping. Bang, bang, nana, gang. All right. So Instagram's getting pulled up. Shout out to all of you guys for hopping on here. I'm super excited. Super excited because this is the first day of the 2021 season that we actually got 49ers football. We got it. We got it, ladies and gentlemen. It is here. 49ers football. We made it. We actually made it. Let's go. I know we're all hyped. I know if you're on Instagram, I know you're just seeing that pass. I know you're just now seeing that catch from George Kittle. Ooh! Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Finally got to see some video come out of Team Period. We haven't seen anything yet today. Finally, just before I hop on here, we see Kittle go over the top of someone and say, "Give me that. That's mine." And so what we were going to talk about is we're going to talk about the long pass to George Kittle, which again was perfectly thrown down the sideline over a defender. They posted it. They didn't post Trey, though. They didn't post Trey actually throwing it, but we can connect the dots. They've only talked about one highlight reel catch with George Kittle in practice, down the sideline, perfect throw over a defender. They posted it. But again, they're not posting Trey. And it goes back into these continuing conversations that we keep having. They are not going to put unwanted pressure on Trey Lance, and I'm for it. Fine. Don't do it. I'm okay with it. But I'm hyped because that is the first real clip that we got of some football. And we got Trey Lance throwing a dime, by all accounts, 35, 40 yards down the left sideline. And you saw it. It was right there. He threw it up. For George to go get it. And guess what? George is a yak monster. That dude is a contested catch god. So, of course he got it. Of course he went and got it. So, I'm just hyped, dude. I'm like I said, I was a little late hopping onto YouTube because that video hit and I was just too hyped. I couldn't get my stuff together. But so that's what we're starting off with, I guess, is we're going to start off with the play that we saw. We saw it. We saw GK, George Kittle, the Joker. Whoo! Woo! It's so exciting. I could go on to so many different levels of why it's so exciting, but I'm going to temper it. I don't want to say one thing and upset another thing. But okay, so that's what we started with. We started with the play. If you want to see the play, it's literally it's probably everywhere now. The 49ers posted it to their story on Instagram. Of course, it's been picked up. You'll find it everywhere that you see my name crediting the 49ers for the video. Before we keep going, shout out the 49ers, man. Shout out the 49ers. They had YouTube stream and IG stream. Shout out the 49ers. We appreciate that. That's the type of coverage that we need. That's the type of coverage that we want. That's what we're looking for. That's the type of stuff we want to see. Again, we love the workout or the individual drill videos. I mean, they're great, right? But I like the live stuff, man. And it's really cool of how they did it with both Instagram and YouTube. Shout out the 49ers. I'm very happy about that. But let's get into it. So let's start with I'm going to go through some of the recaps of practice. Some of the notes that I've pulled, I was not there. We had boots on the ground. We had other people there. And I'm going to be pulling some information from reporters like Cam Inman, Kiana Martin, and Matt Barrows. So those are the guys that we're getting our information from when we get into the weeds with this stuff. But let's get into it. So from Cam Inman, shout out Cam. He reported that Javon Kinlaw was suffering from like some knee soreness, maybe a little swelling in the knee. If you guys recall, we saw Kinlaw pop up on Instagram late or early in the offseason, looking to have had knee surgery. By all accounts, it was a little cleanup. It was a little, wasn't anything crazy. But like Kyle talked about yesterday, their goal is to get everyone to week 1. So if any little thing pops up like this, I think they're just going to hit the pause button. We don't need to rush this, especially with a guy like Javon Kinlaw, who is so important to this team, so important to this team's success. So I'm fine with that. He did not play in team drills, kept them out. Being cautious, we'll look for tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see if he comes back tomorrow. And then again, we started with the pass because, again, it was the first thing we saw right before we hopped on here. But starting with the quarterbacks, by all accounts, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance played pretty damn well today. And that's a nice change. That is a nice change because if you've been around for the last couple years, you've been around for the last 1 or 2 years, the sentiment that comes out of camp typically is the defense has had the better days early in camp, which makes sense. It's a lot easier for defenses to pin their ears back and go. There's no pads. It's a little bit easier, or it's not easier, but I would say it's a little bit more geared towards the defense being successful. But the boys were doing work today. I believe Lance was 5 for 7 in 11 on 11s. Again, the highlights are the long pass to George Kittle, which is everywhere right now. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you can find it on any one of my platforms. It was from the 49ers Instagram. You can go to the 49ers story to view it if you want to see it as well. But we got some of our first action again right before we came on here. And again, it was a beautiful pass down the left sideline, put in a spot to give the guy an opportunity to go get it. That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing about the pass. People are going to somehow try and pick this thing apart. But my favorite thing about that pass is the opportunity of it. If you've been watching this offense and some of the quarterback play that we've seen come in and out, and I understand why. We had a difficult time staying healthy on the offensive line last year. We had a lot of pieces shifting around. That translates into less time for quarterbacks to throw. Makes sense, right? So that doesn't necessarily lend itself to guys throwing people open or guys being comfortable in jump ball situations where they're just like, we're going to throw it up. Didn't happen too often over the last couple years. So that's one of my first big takeaways is you got George Kittle on the sideline, clamped in double coverage. You had the either cornerback underneath him in perfect position. Good positioning by the cornerback. And then you had a guy helping over the top, which was a safety coming to disrupt. But like I said, it was a deep pass and it's the opportunity. Throw it up. Let your boys make you look good, and see that out of a rookie day one. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Can't wait to see some more clips that come out from Matt Barrows. Debo had a perfectly thrown ball, or Trey Lance hit Debo with a perfectly thrown ball down the sideline for another 35-yarder. So Trey Lance had 2 of those today. We've only seen the one. So that's exciting. That's very exciting, especially for 49ers fans, man. We've been missing that deep ball. We want to see that thing. Kind of going into Jimmy Garoppolo. I pulled these notes from Kiana Martin, 49ers senior team reporter. She had a great review, great breakdown of kind of how practice played out in the team period. She said she saw a 35-yard pass to Aiyuk from Jimmy Garoppolo. By all accounts, I've seen it on multiple levels. Aiyuk sounds like he's taking that step that we want to see him take. It sounds like he's taking that step that we want to see him take in year 2 to become one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I'm bullish, man. You guys know I play Dynasty, which means I'm active all year round with this stuff. So when it comes to trading and grabbing players, Aiyuk has been my number one guy I've gone after in every single league. I don't care if it's Homer. I don't care if it's anything. I've been going after Aiyuk. And because I truly believe he will be a number one wide receiver in regards to production next year. And how you would say he's a number one, top 12. I would say he's top 12. I think Aiyuk, I'm not going to preface it with anything about injury because that's bad juju at this point. But if Aiyuk can get in here and get opportunities, I really, really believe Brandon Aiyuk will be a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. Not just on this team. In the NFL. Wide receiver 1. That's where Brandon Aiyuk is headed. So I'm excited. Super excited. Another thing from Jimmy Garoppolo, he threw a nice, pass to Sanu towards the sideline. It was a contested catch. He was able to go up, get the contested catch, 2 feet in bounds. That was a catch. Another guy who's getting a ton of great reviews, Mohamed Sanu, man. Shout out Mohamed Sanu. Let's go. We talked about it. I talked about it so many times about like why he probably got cut last year. It was a weird year. He wasn't on a team. It's 2020. Everything's closed. He's probably not in shape. All that kind of stuff gets signed off the streets mid-year. He's not the same guy. So they let him go. But if you remember that whole situation, Aiyuk literally tweeted something when they cut Sanu. Aiyuk was like, "Oh, what?" Like, and Aiyuk doesn't say anything. That dude's quiet as hell. So for him to come out and make a statement about a veteran wide receiver who got cut last year, and that same receiver is now back, and that same receiver has transformed his body and just transformed everything by all accounts. So I think we all feel pretty confident with what Mohamed Sanu is doing right now. I think we all feel pretty damn confident. We also got the cool video from Sanu and Trey Lance today. If you haven't seen that, you can find it on any one of my accounts, basically. But it's Sanu and Trey Lance either walking to their cars out of the locker room or walking off the field. I don't know the context of where they were going. But Sanu's like, "Hey, bro, let me get $1. Let me get that $1. Let me hold something. Let me hold $1. Let me hold a little bag." And the whole point is, right? The whole point is that Sanu, just a couple months earlier, after Trey Lance was signed or drafted by the 49ers, they were working out together in Atlanta. Sanu puts out a video of Trey Lance pulling up in a Malibu, and Sanu just absolutely roasts him. Just absolutely roasts Trey Lance for pulling up in a Malibu. Just like, look at all that money, and you're pulling up in a Malibu. So fast forward to now, Sanu's asking him for $1, and Trey Lance is like, bro, I'm still in the Malibu. Remember the Malibu you made fun of me for? Like, I ain't giving you $1. It was just a great moment. Again, it just kind of shows you love seeing a vet like that obviously build a rapport with a rookie like that. Again, they worked in the offseason. If they didn't work in the offseason, we don't get that video. So it just goes to show just how the small things like that translate into solid locker room things that bond guys together. It bonds us now to Sanu and Trey, because we can go back and we can reference that and we can look at that and be like, wow, that started in Atlanta. That was an inside joke in Atlanta right after Trey got drafted, and now here we are in training camp day one, and they're still joking about it. Gotta love that. Absolutely gotta love that. So that was fun. That was a fun post. That was a great content. Sanu even commented on that post that I made, and he was like, I just want my 100 cents. That's it. I just want my 100 cents. Come on, Trey. But again, these boys, this locker room's built different. After every single conversation, I think I'm over 10 players now that I interviewed this offseason. Every single one of them talks about the culture. They talk about this stuff, the small things. And it matters. It matters a lot in a grind like this, in a game that's so cutthroat. Like, it matters. These small things matter. And I'm really excited, man. I'm so excited as we head into this year. A couple other things that Kiana was reporting on. Kentavious Street would have had 2 sacks in team period. Obviously, they pull up. They don't tackle or take you to the ground or stop the play. They allow the play to play out. But apparently, Kentavious Street had 2 sacks. So my mind immediately goes to interior offensive line, because Kentavious Street was a D-end coming out of, I believe it was South Carolina State or NC State. Might have been NC State. He was a D-end, but he was a big end. He really should have been like an interior D lineman. And he's pretty much played primarily interior defensive lineman for the 49ers. So if Kentavious Street is getting 2 sacks in a team period, that tells me it's likely happening over a guard. We don't know what guard it is. We don't know. But what we do know is that there is a competition happening on the interior. So with that being said, just something to watch. It'd be interesting to know who got beat for those 2 sacks, especially if it was an Aaron Banks or a Brunskill or a rookie. Some context would help, but it's fine. Jordan Willis and Eric Armstead also got sacks in team periods. Because Bosa and Dee Ford, I'm going to come back to those two, but because Bosa and Dee Ford were off to the side for team period, first team defensive ends were Samson Ebukam and Eric Armstead. Seems pretty standard operating procedure to me. But going back to, Dee Ford and Bosa, it's so nice seeing those guys. It's so nice seeing those. Like, I love Bosa. We all love Bosa. It's amazing that we get Bosa back, right? But let's just take a second to talk about Dee Ford, man. How inspirational. How inspirational Dee Ford is, man. Seriously. I would have bet money he was retiring this year. I would have bet money. Just like Richburg retired, I thought Dee Ford was headed for the same exact fate, which was unfortunate. Yeah, I didn't want to see it, but that's just what I felt was coming. But to see him at practice, to see him exploding out of his stance, to see Dee Ford back again, I think that needs to be emphasized about how special that is. And how if we can get Dee Ford back, what that means for our defense, what that means for our defensive line, what that means for Kinlaw, what that means for Bosa, what that means for Armstead, what that means for everyone. Because with a healthy Dee Ford, even if we only use Dee Ford on third down, that's it. That's it. Take Eric, Sampson, throw them out, base down, first, second down, throw them out. Third down, give me Dee Ford, hair on fire, screaming off the edge. That's what I want. That's what I want. If that's what I get, I'm happy. Like I've said all offseason, anything we get from Dee Ford at this point is house money, because we've all been operating off the assumption that he is not coming back. But he's here. He is here. And shout out that dude. Shout out that dude for everything he's had to go through, because, again, we like to, as fans, we like to come after guys for being injury prone. These dudes don't decide to get injured. They don't do this stuff on purpose. Everything that they do is to prepare to not get injured. And so I feel for the dude coming out in 2020, made it one game and then was out the entire year. Again, we thought it was neck, back, thought he was retiring. So the fact that we see Dee Ford, again, bring him on as slowly as possible, that's fine. But great to see him back. Truly is great to see him back, because I cannot emphasize enough how important he is to this defense, especially how important he was to the 2019 defense. You guys, we talk about the 2019 defense all the time. We don't have that run without Dee Ford. We don't. That's how important he is. So, super hyped. Super hyped. We've been talking a lot about cornerback depth. We've been talking a lot about, like, well, who's behind Emmanuel, Verrett, K1? Once you get past Ambry and Diamador, who's left? We talked about Dante Johnson and some other guys. Tim Harris. Remember Tim Harris? I believe he was drafted 2 years ago in the 6th round. Really haven't got to see him play. I don't think we've seen him on the field that I can recall. I don't know if he's been called up and got special teams time. I cannot go back and think of Tim Harris playing. And I don't know if that was because of injury or because he was just buried on the depth chart behind Sherman, Verrett, Mosley, Witherspoon, all these guys. But we just haven't seen too much from him. But Tim Harris had a PBU today in the team period. We like that. Good. Because we're going to need guys like that to contribute. Absolutely. We're going to absolutely need some guys at one point to contribute. You guys remember Brian Allen? We signed him off the streets and then started him against the Dolphins. Yeah, we don't want that to happen again this year. So guys like Tim Harris, yes, step up. Let's see it. Now's the year to show us what you got. Okay? Because we can't have Brian Allen happen again. We can't have it. Got to be available. Dolphins was a terrible game for everyone. But we like to hear that some of the depth guys are making some plays. Return specialists. Again, we're still going off Kiana Martin's report. Shout out Kiana Martin. Return specialists in today's practice. Interesting. A couple interesting names. I'll start with the names that didn't surprise me. Aiyuk makes sense. Craycraft makes absolute sense. Webster, absolute sense. Richie James, of course. And Benjamin. Makes sense, right? All those guys make sense. The two that stood out to me of like, made me stroke the beard a little bit. Made me stroke the ginger beard a little bit. Was Raheem Mostert and Mohamed Sanu. Now, nothing against Mohamed Sanu. Nothing against Mo. I just wouldn't anticipate having him as a return specialist. That's all. I just feel like Sanu should get a little bit of that veteran presence. You know, maybe we'll just keep him. We'll just keep him in the wide receiver room. But hey, he was taking some reps as a returner. So, all right. And again, Mostert, it's not surprising based on ability. It's just surprising. He's our RB1 right now. Obviously, he's made his entire career up until this point before he made his way as a running back through special teams. But man, if you think about it, you get Mostert back there fielding a kickoff. You get Mostert and that 23-mile-an-hour speed, you know, with a full steam ahead with blockers, his ability to read and cut and the vision. Hell yeah. I just wouldn't have envisioned to put him there, but he's there. Two transactional things that happened right before practice. Jaquiski Tart, Jawan Jennings are on the COVID list, the reserve COVID list. So now we have 3 players on that list. Emmanuel Mosley, Jaquiski Tart, Jawan Jennings. So we don't know the details. We don't. So I'm not going to speculate on the details. When they're available, they'll be available. It's typically a 10-day period from my understanding. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a fluid situation. I'm still trying to learn and understand what the process is like and all that kind of stuff. What did you tell me? So that covers pretty much most of the notes that I was able to get. Again, it's just like I wish I could see it to put the context behind it, but we got to see some context with the Kittle catch. So that's nice. The other thing to talk about, I guess, is some of the press conferences. We could talk about some of the press conferences. Jimmy. Should we talk about Jimmy? The boy Yimmy? Silent J. So Jimmy today, again, we're seeing a new Jimmy. We saw right away back in OTAs. Again, I talk about it all the time. The video that he yelled at the social person in OTAs, that first video when he showed up to camp, Kittle's walking next to him and he's like, "Let's go." We've seen him do that a million times. We've seen him walk out to practice a million times. We've seen him say what's up to the camera. We've seen it. All right. But we've never seen that Jimmy. We have never seen that Jimmy. So that's what makes this very interesting. Because by all accounts, Jimmy's playing very well. But so is Trey. So this is this is the problem. Like, it's a problem, right? Because we want to know who's starting and blah. It's a great problem to have. I love that we don't know who's starting, and I love that these guys are going to just continue to push each other. Trey is going to push Jimmy, and Jimmy's going to push Trey, and that is only going to make these guys better. And what I love, again, what we're seeing out of Jimmy is all the things that Kyle Shanahan talked about and what he's looking for in a quarterback from the podcast that he went on and told everyone what he's looking for. And again, zone, clear-minded, low blood pressure, low heart rate. And what Kyle has always said is when Jimmy is pissed, when Jimmy is mad, he finds that zone. He finds that cool, calm, and collected Jimmy. Like, I just remember too, like Jimmy when he in the New York Jets game this past year, prior to him getting hurt on the ankle, he was kind of playing a little of that up and down Jimmy, right? A little bit of up and down Jimmy. Like, he didn't look confident. His body language didn't look confident. He didn't look like he was clear with his reads and how he was seeing the field. But then when he got hurt and came back, and I can speak to this a little bit just about experience from being a former athlete. Sometimes when you're so focused on your responsibilities as a football player, sometimes something like an injury can refocus your brain, if that makes sense. So rather than like worrying and focusing about your assignment and responsibility, sometimes an injury that you play through causes your brain to focus on the injury, so then everything else becomes clear. It's weird. It happens. It's happened to me. I feel like that happened to Jimmy. But what we're seeing right now is kind of an extension of that. Is this attitude of I don't give a shit. And I love it. I love it because that goes into the press conference. That goes into him today swearing twice. Jimmy has never sworn at a press conference. I cannot recall a time, a place wherever Jimmy has not been public relations Jimmy, meaning the quarterback of a team, meaning talking like a CEO. I've never seen that. I've never seen Jimmy let it rip. You know what I mean? Like a reporter, I think it was Biderman, was like, can you tell us how awkward it is with you and Trey? And he's just like, he cut him off. He's just like, awkward? Like what? Like why you guys keep putting this on me? Like why you keep putting like, and that's one of the things about watching the press conference is they asked him question after question after question about Trey Lance. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I get it. I get what they're doing. I get their job. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm putting myself in the player's shoes. Putting myself, like, if I'm like this and I'm Jimmy G and I just got done with the last 7 months of my life, and the first time I see all these reporters and the only thing they're asking me about is Trey Lance, again, I understand why. But if I'm Jimmy, I am pissed. And I love that he's pissed. And I love that he's showing you that he's pissed. Because there's a level of pissed off I think you need to be at a certain point. You need to understand that there needs to be a certain level that you need to compete at. And I think how Jimmy is handling this situation, the way Jimmy is going about everything, the way Jimmy is doing this and responding, I can't send enough props towards Jimmy. Enough like good. Jimmy's gonna get me swearing. Good shit, Jimmy. Good shit. Like seriously. Like we know what it's like to go through adversity, struggle, hardships in our personal life, in our business life, in our work life, in our family life. We know what that's like. And it takes a toll, right? Now imagine having millions of eyes on you, talking shit about you every single day for 7 months. And I love this is what we're getting. Because I think Jimmy is confident in himself. And I've talked about it a lot. When Jimmy came back that 2018 year, like the 2017 year where he got paid, he was so playing so well because he's playing so clearly. He was playing without hesitation. He was just playing ball. And there was no hesitation or questioning of how locked on he was. 2018 came around. You guys remember the Minnesota game? You guys remember the Detroit game? It didn't have the same vibe. The 27 Jimmy that we saw versus that early 2018, it was a little bit different. Again, he had gotten paid. He had the off-field situation with the date, and there's a ton of pressure on him. And I think we saw the pressure prior to the injury. And so I look at that as compounding so many things. The pressure of the contract, the pressure of the off-field, then going down with the ACL based on a decision he made, which is another thing he has to live with, and then his career trajectory from that point to now. I'm so happy Jimmy is acting and doing what he is doing. And I believe his team is going to respond to it. Like, I'm big on Trey Lance. I'm big on his ability. I'm big on what he did in college and how it translates to Kyle. And I'm big on Trey Lance. And absolutely, we should all be big on Trey Lance. But the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is coming out here with this pissed off mentality and attitude of no freaking bullshit, like, again, he's got me swearing. I don't swear either. I know I got rules, and this is a family show, and we are all ages, but Jimmy's got me hyped. So if I'm hyped, I guarantee you his team is hyped. Boys like George are hyped. All the boys that got his back, Juice, Mike, Trent, all these boys got his back. And so I love it. I love pissed off Jimmy, because I think we're seeing real Jimmy. Because, again, like, it's so hard. 7 games, you're like with us, middle of the year, or 6 games, you win 5 of them that you start, and then you tear your ACL before you can even get started the year after that. And then 2019 is like, let's not put it on Jimmy, and we'll put it on our defense. We'll put it on special teams, and we'll only put it on Jimmy when we have to. And I just think all of that, we're seeing Jimmy mature and just let it go. Just let it release. Let the pressure, like, again, where's the pressure? They already drafted Trey Lance. They already drafted him. He already knows his time is up. He knows he's on borrowed time. So what I love, to just keep going on this little Jimmy rant, is that he's attacking it. He's not backing down. Again, the situation that he's been through the last 7 months, I can't imagine. Like, how mentally strong he had to stay during that time period. Again, all the reports with the trade up, with the rumors for a month and a half about which quarterback we're selecting. Like, I can't imagine. So the fact that he's not shying away, the fact that he's coming out ready to go, makes me happy. Should make you happy, regardless if you're waging one of these wars for Jimmy or Trey on the Twitter sphere. Regardless, you should be happy for Jimmy Garoppolo. You should be happy for the confidence that he has. I'm happy for him. I really am. So I hope that we can transition that Jimmy that we're seeing now into who he is for the rest of his career. That's what I want to see. And if we can see that Jimmy, again, shades of 2017 Jimmy, we all hopped on the bandwagon for a reason. We all hopped on the Jimmy train for a reason. It's because we saw it. We saw how good he was. We saw everything. We saw the human element. We saw how his teammates responded to him. We saw how he performed and executed. That's why when he got signed after 6 games, we said, hell yeah, let's go. We've seen it. But the injury changed everything. So Jimmy's got something to prove to me. He's got something to prove to you. He's got something to prove to his teammates. You know the biggest person that he has something to prove to? Kyle Shanahan. Hey, Kyle. I've seen everything you've done this offseason, Kyle. So Jimmy Garoppolo's enemy number one, Kyle Shanahan, which is a wild dynamic because they have to work together. It's a wild dynamic, but I love it. That's what I'm saying. Like Jimmy still has to work with a guy that tried to replace him every single day for the last 7 months. So when he cuts off a reporter that tries to assume a feeling for himself to be like, what the hell are you talking about? That's what we want. That's what we want. That's clear-minded Jimmy. That is clear-minded Jimmy. That's off-field clear-minded Jimmy. So it's like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Psychology is a beautiful thing. I love it so much. I love sports psychology. I love the human element of football and what these guys go through and how difficult it is to reach this level and then maintain it. So I'm hyped because, again, Jimmy playing the way he's playing with this confidence, with this mentality, with this pissed off swagger that he has, that only helps everyone. That only helps everyone. Because we are seeing that translate into him playing well on the field. We are seeing him translate that to playing well on the field. So again, now when Trey Lance is throwing dimes to his boy George Kittle, throwing dimes to his wide receiver Deebo Samuel, dude, take that personally. Get pissed off. Get upset. And show Kyle, show your teammates, show everyone why you deserve to be the starter. And I think he's ready for that. I will admit 100% that I did not think he would rise to the challenge. That's been a big thing with kind of like why I'm like, I think it's not a big reason. It's part of the reason why I think Trey Lance has had a kind of a much more open path to a week one starting than a lot of people talk about. But all that had to do with the way Jimmy responded. And based on, like I said, what I saw from Jimmy in 2018, Jimmy in 2019, 2020 Jimmy, I wasn't confident that Jimmy was going to respond like this. And he has. So now we change our observations. We start to now see, all right, what's angry Jimmy mean? What does angry Jimmy mean? What does that mean to this team? Because there's a huge portion of the fan base who believes this is Jimmy's job all throughout the year. There's another huge portion of the fan base that thinks Jimmy's going to lose it mid-year. There's another portion of the fan base that thinks Jimmy's not even going to make it to week one. And then there's another portion of the fan base who thinks he's just going to get traded. So the range of outcomes for Jimmy Garoppolo amongst this fan base, they're wide-ranging. They're wide-ranging. But for Jimmy to find the range of outcome that has him starting week one and starting the majority of the year is this Jimmy. Is this clear-minded leader who's pissed off, not taking no crap from no one. I'm just saying. But again, Jimmy has nothing to prove to you, to me. Really, at the end of the day, he has to prove it to his teammates. And most importantly, he has to prove it to Kyle Shanahan. So that's it. That's the factor. We want to know the answer to the quarterback situation and all that kind of stuff. is we know what Kyle is looking for out of his quarterback. He's gone and explained it explicitly. He's reiterated those things in more recent press conferences. So he's got to prove it. Got to prove it. And the mentality that he has now, the mentality that I'm seeing, to me feels like he's headed in that direction. Again, we got plenty of time. We got plenty of time. We need to watch preseason. We need to watch the rest of training camp. There's all kinds of stuff to going on. But again, it's day one. It's day one. And as of right now, both Jimmy and Trey Lance are performing very well. So for fans of the 49ers, you guys, everyone, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. It really is. It really, really is. And with the defense, we'll see. So what we're going to do next is, I mean, we pretty much covered everything. How about this? I'll answer a couple questions. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And then we'll get this thing popping. Daniel asked, how did Bosa, Ford, Aiyuk look? Debo, we touched on it a little bit in the beginning. Bosa and Ford were available in the individual periods. They were off to the side. They're being cautious with those two. By all accounts, Aiyuk had the best day of camp from the wide receivers and caught the most passes. Debo had a couple good passes as well in team period. So, yeah. Thoughts on Bosa? Dude, Bosa looks good, dude. He always looks good. That boy thick, no pause. But he just looks like he's a creative player. Like he looks different. He's just different. He does look a little leaner. He looks in shape. He looks ready. He looks ready to go. He looks ready. He's got the girlfriend at home. He's been working on the rehab. Our Bosa's living his best life. So with Bosa, again, we keep coming back to Kyle Shanahan. He wants everyone to be healthy for week one. So I have no problems with Bosa taking his time. What else we got? Can't wait for Hurd to come back. He's another big boy. Front seven with Dee Ford in the rotation will be bananas. Hard to stop him up front. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. That D line, my boy Chris Mezzavilla, probably just butchered his last name. He was sending me a bunch of photos from camp and sending me a bunch of photos of the D line. Bro, the D line, looks good. They look big. They look scary. Oh my gosh. He sent me a picture with Kinlaw, Eric, Bosa, and Dee Ford in one photo. And I'm just like, oh boy. I'm not going to lie. Made me reminisce about that 2019 D line with D-Buck instead of Kinlaw. But it's the same vibes. What do I think about Trey Sermon? I honestly didn't come across too many reports. Maybe I missed it. But I didn't really see anything that was talking about him too much. Again, I'm not watching practice, so I can't make something up. So I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know how Trey Sermon looked today. I didn't really hear much from the running back situation, but maybe I can go do more digging. Richie Rich, bro, you're always in a conversation with someone. Every time I come to look, you're in the middle of chopping it up with someone else. You're never asking me any questions. Thoughts on Trent? If that Trent is Trent Williams, super excited. Super excited, man. I'm so excited about this offensive line. I'm so excited because once that O-line gets going, we're going to see this offense get back to, I think it could even elevate from what we saw from 2019. I think 2019, because of where Jimmy was in his development, coming back from the ACL, again, 2019 was Jimmy's first year as a starter. So I love when people talk about, oh, well, there's never been a rookie quarterback to make it to the Super Bowl, so that must mean that you have no aspirations of going to the Super Bowl if Trey Lance is starting. And it's just like, guys, do you remember Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you remember the Jimmy Garoppolo who played, I think, two to 4 games for the Patriots? He got hurt after those games. Then when he came to the 49ers, he only played 6 games, won 5 of them. That next year, he only played in 2.5 games, tears his ACL. And so 2019, Jimmy Garoppolo is like a rookie, honestly. Obviously, he had been marinating in the league a little bit for quite some time. But from an experience standpoint, yeah, he had gotten some starts in this league. He absolutely had. But I always felt that the ACL injury reset him a bit because, again, like having to retrain your throwing motion based off having an injury, dude, that is difficult. That is very difficult. So with that being said, it's like Jimmy was kind of like a rookie. Jimmy was really like a rookie in 2019. Think of how they used him against Tampa Bay. Really tried to protect him. When they went to the Bengals, still a lot of run game. Still a lot of run game. The Steelers game was the first game where we asked Jimmy, Jimmy, our defense ain't playing too hot. We're down a score. We need you to drive us down this field and win this damn game, Jimmy. And he did it. But the maturation process through that season, he was being developed like a rookie. He was the offense was molded around him, felt like a rookie. So that's honestly really what I could see, whether it's Jimmy or Trey. I think the 2019 is the baseline. It's the baseline level of the offense. So whether it's Jimmy, whether it's Trey, 2019 is the baseline. Because I think Trey Lance can play just like Jimmy did in 2019. I really believe it. So that's why it's up to Jimmy to compete his ass off and win this game or win this position. Because at that point, then we're talking about what we can really do. We limit turnovers. We play good defense, all that kind of stuff. So if Trey Lance is starting, I still think Kyle Shanahan, if there's any coach to take a rookie quarterback to the Super Bowl, it's Kyle Shanahan. And it's with a quarterback like Trey Lance. So I think Kyle takes that as a challenge, honestly. So I think there's a lot of this between, quarterback, head coach, but they're channeling it properly. So that's good. That's a good thing. So, hey, I like it. All right. Quick question. Can we take pictures of videos when they're training? From our understanding is no. You can't. Yeah. So if you're going, I know you're going to the bigger portion, the bigger practice. That's going to be almost impossible to police taking video and pictures. It's you're going to be in the stadium. Honestly, it's really hard when you're at camp. and you're on the practice field, they have people holding up signs saying no cell phones, and they'll like call you out if they see you. So I don't know how they're going to do that at the stadium. I don't think that's possible. So you might be in good shape with photos and videos at the stadium, because that's going to be impossible to police. So I don't know. I would imagine you'd be able to. Let's see. What other questions you got? I got a couple more questions. I'm going to head out. Couple more questions. I'm going to head out. Date night with a wifey. We got to go date night it. What do we got? A couple more questions. How do we want to end it? Who's got good questions? Oh, Daniel. Daniel-san. Daniel says, I like it. I like it. He says, a position we don't talk about, but I think we could have the best player at, punter. How is Kiwi kickoff looking, which is a Australian reference? He has something to watch. When I was at training camp last as a rookie, he was something to watch. Okay, so Daniel wants to talk about the punter. This might be a first. I'm not sure we've ever had a request to talk about the punter. But to his point, Mitch Wishnowsky, dude, I remember, again, he's a 4th-round pick. So the 40, I was at that training camp. I know what you're talking about. 49ers fans wanted to know, all right, why did you take a punter in the 4th round? George Kittle's a 5th-round pick. Dre Greenlaw, he's a 5th-round pick. Raheem Mostert, he's undrafted. So, again, why are you taking a punter in the 4th round? When it comes to draft philosophy and specialists, I probably would leave them towards the back end of the draft if I were to even draft them. But again, my philosophy, not Kyle's. But guess what? They drafted him. I was at that first training camp back in 2019 when Mitch was booming. I was super skeptical, dude. I was super skeptical. I'm like, Mitch Wishnowsky in the 4th round? What are we doing? And, there's some good players that came out after him. But I remember that camp, and this dude was booming him. The hang time was like 6 seconds. It was crazy. So the whole long tangent to get to Mitch Wishnowsky is, yeah, he's pretty damn good. Seeing it in person, again, that was as a rookie, so that was 2019. It was the last time I saw it in person. But seeing it in person, seeing the ball just rocket off his foot and how high and how much it hung in the air, I mean, he's pretty damn good. And of course, we know he'll come and tackle the crap out of you as well. So I like it. A Mitch Wishnowsky question. That is rare. We rarely get specialist questions. I don't think I've ever gotten a Mitch Wishnowsky question. I like it. Do we see more highlight tackles by Mitch? I hope so. He gets a crowd going when he rocks someone. I absolutely hope so. Ooh, I like this one. What's my prediction for Aiyuk's stats? I feel like I did one, but let me do it again. So I think Aiyuk has the potential to get over 1,400 receiving yards. And I know that just sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot saying. I got to make sure. I'm actually going to make sure I'm doing my math right because I did this already. But again, what I'm talking about with Brandon Aiyuk is I really think that he has an opportunity to take a huge step forward. So in 12 games last year as a rookie, he was able to get 748 receiving yards. That translates to 62 yards a game. Again, if you remember Aiyuk playing, he missed he went he played a game, missed a game, played a game, missed a game, played a game. Like his season in regards to continuity, in regards to being on the field and being readily available, he actually wasn't. He only played 12 games, and it wasn't 12 straight. Uh-oh, my internet's acting up again. He didn't play 12 straight. It was a really interesting year for him. So if you take that average, and so basically he's averaging about 62 yards a game. He's over 12 games, he averaged 62 yards a game. I think a fair assessment is I really think he can average 80 yards a game, right? So if he averaged 60 as a rookie with 3 quarterbacks in and out of the roster, doing all these different kinds of things, and it was really difficult, then I'm thinking, well, why isn't 80 yards a game? 80 yards a game seems manageable to me. And so if you take 80 games and you extrapolate that over a 17 game season, that's 1,360 yards. So again, this dude averaged 62 yards a game over 12 games with 3 quarterbacks not playing consistently in a row. He was out with COVID. He was out with literally, he didn't play. There was a point in the year where he missed every other game, 6 weeks in a row, and still was able to come away with 62 yards a game over 12 games with 3 quarterbacks. Give him 1 quarterback, give him a full offseason, give him a second year in the NFL. I really don't see why Brandon Aiyuk can't average 80 yards a game. Again, if you take 80 yards a game and you extrapolate that over 17 games, that is 1,360 receiving yards. I said 1,400. I had to go back and do the math to make sure I wasn't crazy, because even saying 14 sounds like a lot, especially in our offense, especially with everything considered. So, but again, you do the math, you look at it, you look at how he got his opportunities, and he really started to pick it up towards the end of the year. I think Aiyuk is wide receiver 1 material, meaning top 12. I think Brandon Aiyuk will be a top 12 wide receiver in the NFL this year. Again, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I play fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football. A lot of people are super hyped on DJ Moore. Panthers, wide receiver. He's 23 years old, been in the league 2 years. He's a great wide receiver, and he has an upward trajectory. A lot of people think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. A lot of people in the fantasy community rank DJ Moore much, much higher than Brandon Aiyuk. I traded DJ Moore for Brandon Aiyuk straight up. Straight up. No draft picks, no other players, nothing. I said, I want Aiyuk. I want Aiyuk more than I want DJ Moore. I'm going to trade you straight up. And he was hyped because he's thinking he's getting great value on DJ Moore. And I'm deep down, I'm I think Aiyuk's going to have a better year than DJ Moore, which is why I make the trade, right? So I'm big on DJ Moore, big on Aiyuk. I put my money where my mouth is. I'm collecting every piece of Aiyuk I can get my hands on. I think Aiyuk is headed for a huge year. Huge year. A big part of that is a lot of people didn't pay attention to him. A lot of people didn't pay attention to him last year. So that translates into being under the radar, underhyped, and so he's going to surprise a lot of people. If you're paying attention, that's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. He's going to be a good wide receiver, and he should put up a lot of production in this offense, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or whether it's Trey Lance. It doesn't matter. He should be able to put up production. He put up production with C.J. Beathard and Trey Lance and Nick Mullins. I think we can all agree Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance is better than those two guys. So big year for Brandon Aiyuk. If you play Dynasty, if you play fantasy football, buy. Draft. Get Aiyuk on your team. Trust me. Just do it. Just do it. All right, one more question. One more. I need a good one. I need a goodie. Who's got a good question? End it on a good one. That O-line's nice, boy. Statistically, we're the best right now. At what? Looking cute? I would say we're statistically the most cutest team. We got some cute, like, I don't want to go down the weeds too far, but we got a good-looking squad. Oh, my day's great. Thank you for asking. All right, who's going to send us out one good question? You can't just say a name and put a question mark behind it. You got to ask a question. All right, I like that one. We'll end it on this one. Thank you for saving us, El Hector. So El Hector wants to know, what are my thoughts on the new defense under Coach Ryans? I'm hyped, dude. I'm so excited. I feel like that's the thing I say the most. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited for this year. I'm so excited for where everything's going, and especially everything I'm hearing about DeMeco Ryans taking over. Of course, he's been credited a lot with the development of Fred Warner, of Dre Greenlaw, of Azeez Al-Shaair, of a lot of these guys, because he's been here since 2017 when Kyle Shanahan took over. So he's been here, he's been around. So with Ryans and everything that I'm hearing is they want to be a little bit more aggressive, meaning they want to put more pressure on the quarterback. So a lot of the things that we've seen out of the defense under Robert Saleh is that they are a bit vanilla. They are. They were a bit vanilla, and then towards the end of last year is when we started to see them switch it up a little bit, which I think was due to just guys being out. So what I kind of see now is, now that we got guys back, I'm still taking that same mentality, because, and what I'm saying by vanilla, meaning we rush 4 almost every time. And those 4 are most likely the defensive linemen. So that's what I say from vanilla. Like, when you look at what defenses were doing to us, remember, our offensive line, we were having issues communicating protections, and defenses were keying on that. So as a result, they were sending the most complicated blitzes at us because they knew we couldn't pick it up. So what I'm hoping from DeMeco Ryans is to see some of what we saw happen to us with the stunts and the blitzes. I want to see us put that back on someone else. Hey, man, it was cool when we could get after the pass rusher with Bosa and Dee Ford, Eric Armstead, and DeForest Buckner. That was cool because that D-line was built differently. That was great. But that defensive line may never come back. We don't know what Dee Ford, we just don't know. So everything we keep hearing about DeMeco Ryans is that he is going to be more aggressive with this play calling, which means, hey, you can still bring 4. You can still bring 4. Again, you can still play gap football and bring 4. But if you're showing 8 at the line of scrimmage or you're showing 8 in the box and like all 8 are coming at you, and you're confusing the center and you're overloading one side, but you're really bringing forward to the other. That's the kind of stuff I want to see out of DeMeco Ryans. Again, the vanilla stuff, we would just line up 4, send them, and that was it. And we'd play zone behind him. Now I want to see more dynamic play calling from our defensive scheme. Meaning we got guys looping, we got guys stunting, crossing on the defensive line, and behind them are linebackers. Like, I want to see, because again, I played offensive line. If you're rushing 4 at me, like, those guys have to be complete world beaters for us not to stop them, because we have a running back to chip, we have a tight end to chip, we can make it work. And again, it's 5 guys working together against 4. We can make that work. But it's when they start throwing blitzes at you. Again, I played center. I had to diagnose all this crap. It is difficult when you got guys moving pre-snap alignment, because, again, defenders, one of the things that some defensive coordinators will do is they're like, don't line up. Don't line up in your position until they're, like, literally right about to snap. So you got, like, my nose, I'd have, like, nose tackles, like, playing outside linebacker. I'm like, what the is going on? And they're all just kind of, like, moseying around, like, trying to, like, stop me from trying to figure out where they're coming from. And that's all part of it. So I think those are the kinds of things that we're going to see from DeMeco Ryans. And so I'm super excited about that. Because we have guys like Fred Warner, Trey Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair that can, 1, blitz, but 2, do the stunts and do everything else to make up for it. So that was a good question, El Hector. I like that one. We're going to go ahead and end it there. First day of camp in the books. It was a great day. I'm excited to see what other things have dropped since we've been on here talking. Excited to see what tomorrow brings and all that good stuff. Again, shout out all you guys for chopping it up with me, for commenting and engaging with us. It's been a lot of fun. Again, I'm starting to see the same people over and over again, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, and I see you guys, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys a ton. So we'll be back most likely tomorrow to talk about what happened at camp tomorrow, and we'll do all the dang thing again, and we'll have a good time doing it. So again, thank you guys for joining. Appreciate everyone on Instagram. If you are on YouTube, you guys better like or subscribe, or I'm coming to find you. Just kidding. And shout out if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter. Appreciate all you guys again. Peace, my family. You guys have a great evening. Again, we got Kittle. We got Kittle snatching rocks out of dudes. Oh, we're hyped. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a great night. Love you guys. We'll be back to do it again. Peace. All right, guys. We out.